today we're going to be talking about and discussing the 7 most common UI and UX design job interview questions, how to prepare and respond to them beautifully. Let's get into it. All right, so the first question, tell us about yourself. This is pretty simple. This is asked to get a better understanding of who you are, your background, and what is it that you have done as an individual. Trust me, this needs to be a well-canned and put together response before you get into the room. I'll explain. Think of this as giving your personal sales pitch in 1 to 2 sentences or less. For example, my name is Brandon Groce. I have had the pleasure of working with Fortune 500s like Adobe, Hilton, Salesforce, and LG to improve their online experiences and online conversion rate through design and conversion rate optimization. Simply who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and resulting in what outcomes. When you're diving into your background, you want to do a couple things. You want to make sure that you're creating or you have crafted a story that is relevant to the company you're interviewing at. It helps immensely to have the stories that are relevant to the company and helps the interviewer understand where you're coming from and if you'll be a good fit at the company. Here's an example of what isn't relevant. If you're out here trying to explain to Netflix how your cat and dog websites are relevant to their video and streaming platform challenges, good luck. Rather, if you find a way how to discuss your background in a way that is somehow relevant to the problems that the company that you're interviewing at tries to solve on a day-to-day basis, that's relevant. And here's a quick tip. You want to know who's in the room. You want to be able to do some research on the individuals you'll be talking to during the interview so that you can make parallels between your story and background and their story and background in their career to help them make a connection between what is it you do, what is it that you've done, and really attach that to what they have accomplished, showing that you're like them. This makes you seem a little bit more familiar and a little bit easier for them to understand why you are the right and the best fit for this position. It also shows that you know who you're talking to and that you did some homework. And that leads us into question number 2. Tell us a little bit about your process. How do you work? This question is pretty simple. They're just trying to figure out how exactly, with the work that you've done in the past, how have you done it? What is your process? And just trying to get an understanding of how exactly you think. For example, I often refer to my process as no different than any good doctor's process. I like to diagnose the challenges at hand, prescribe a solution, apply the solution, and really just figure out with what the solution that we decided upon is actually working. What is, what isn't, toss out what's not, and keep what is. Honestly, it's the best way for me to understand really what's working and really what's not. Which leads us to question number 3. Can you walk us through a project of yours? In the interview, you may have already talked a little bit about your process. Now it's time to give some examples. Some things that the interviews might tack onto this question are there any projects that you're most proud of? Are there any projects that you had to make a lot of compromises or just compromises on to get to the end result? And 3, are there any projects that you wish you could go back to with the knowledge you have now to improve upon it? Essentially, just have a canned response of a couple projects, whether it's your relevant and best projects, to really walk the interviewers through to have them understand your process, the type of work that you do, and the results that you can garner for them as well. Here's some tips. In explaining your projects, be sure to explain how you might have 1, worked with multiple people so that they can understand that you have some teamwork experience. 2, how have you dealt or really worked along with the stakeholders that are within your project? And really 3, anything else that you think they might find of value based on what you found that those who work there currently do well and how you might do those things as well too. All right, question number 4. What is your greatest weakness? Now listen, we've all gotten this question and honestly, I feel like it's a trick question. And this is how I respond to it. Personally, I don't focus on my weaknesses. I prefer to focus on what it is that I can bring to an organization, not what I can't. If they continue to ask and push upon this question, just rephrase it. I would say something like this. To rephrase your question, if you're really curious, my strengths are X, Y, and Z. The team dynamics that I work best within are with teams that have the characteristics of X, Y, Z. They allow me to focus on what I can best contribute. So basically just focusing upon, hey, these are my strengths. I've typically worked with teams that are like ABC, and this what allows me to stay focused on my strengths and do what I do best. Question number 5, why did you apply to this company? Now this is super important. You need to have thought about how you can bring value to their product or service and what you can do for them. Do your research, have your answer ready before you're in that room answering this. You do not want to look like that individual who just saw the job posting and hit the apply button. You know who you are. Question number 6. Where do you get your inspiration and latest design industry knowledge from? What are you currently learning? This is a common question to see if you're staying up to date in the design world, trends, and really what's going on in the design industry. And trust me, you're gonna wanna have a good answer for this. People really wanna understand, are the people that we're hiring, are they learning what they need to learn to stay abreast of what's going on? What are they reading? What are they studying? Because we wanna hire somebody that is staying up to date, not just sitting in the seat chilling. Having those canned responses for where you're keeping up to date is going to be super important because it shows people that you're on the cutting edge of design and that you're intrinsically motivated to learn. Lastly, question number 7. Do you have any questions for us? Now, this is probably one of the most important pieces because we have to remember, you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. You want to ask about their culture. You want to ask specifically, what is the perfect designer that they could have for this position that they're trying to fill? That way you can get insight into understanding, okay, we've talked for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Let me ask them what is the perfect individual that they're looking for this. Let me get them to talk so that I can reverse engineer what are some of the things that I've answered and what are the things that we have yet to even talk about. And that way, okay, we've talked about 3 out of the 5 things. Let me address these 2 other things that they've mentioned. You can ask about their team structure. What does their work look like? How does the team function? There's a whole bunch of questions you should be asking to fill in the gaps in your mind of whether or not this is a good opportunity for you. On paper it might be, but you want to also ask the right questions to have a grander understanding of what you're going to get yourself into. And insightful questions like this are huge indicators to the interviewers that you are extremely interested and you're not just the person who hit the apply button and are just trying to get a job. Assuming that you've done everything that we've talked about here, you never want to leave the room guessing what they think about you in the next steps that you guys will have together. They don't have to tell you whether you're hired or not, but you want to make sure that you've checked off all the boxes in their minds to have them understand that you are the right person to be hiring for this position. That is all we have for today. If you have enjoyed this splendiferous video, please leave a like and subscribe to the Springboard channel and for more videos like this and my face each and every week. If you're interested in UI UX design, Springboard has 2 amazing courses each in these areas, and you can use the links below to sign up today. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Brandon Groce and Springboard out. See you later.